Thank you for tuning in to watch our third Invest Pittsburgh Leadership Summit. You're about to watch panel number 1, Innovation at Work. Which sectors are reshaping the skills landscape, and how are employers and educators collaborating to close the skills gaps? Be sure to like and subscribe for more leadership insights. Enjoy.
Mayor O'Connor, before you go, I have 2 messages for you. I said they haven't called you because they know you're busy, but they're very proud of you and you're doing a wonderful job.
Thank you very much.
All right. And Toby from our warehouse says when you going to fix Penn Avenue in front of Children's
So
Hospital.
that's a bad one. We're working on that. Yeah. It definitely needs fixed. Tell
You're
them
doing great.
We're on it.
I'm going to tell them and I'm going to take credit for it.
It's bad.
Awesome. Thanks so much. But 100% of the time, that's the response we get. And that's because of our pharmacists, our nurses, the people in the insurance department who try to take care of our patients the best we can. So thank you for sharing that. But I will say, you know, there are challenges. So home infusion, like Abby's daughter, I mean, we have thousands of pediatric patients. We have a pediatric nurse here, or an oncology nurse here with us, so she's seen all this. So pharmacies like Chartwell, not your typical retail pharmacy, right? We're dealing with very highly acutely ill folks who have some sort of disease or some sort of chronic illness. The drugs are extremely expensive, right? And payers don't always want to pay that much. There are forces out in the market who are trying to take margins from pharmacies like us to share with them and other payers. So our business, it's a $2 billion business, right? It's not a small business. We have about 714 employees in the region, from Pittsburgh through Altoona, Harrisburg, and Erie. And it's you know, it's a challenge each year. The pressures, these drugs are trying to push them to end the lowest bidder on the drug. They'll put it out and say, who's willing to pay the least? So I don't think that's where you want things to be for your employees, and I don't think that's where we want to be, so that we make sure we have you know, the health care that we deserve in this city. So Chartwell is part of UPMC Health System for 35 years. 4 years ago, UPMC spun us off through their private equity arm into a company called CarePath, which had us go around the country and build home infusion specialty pharmacies for other health systems to kind of do the model of what we did here in Pittsburgh. And so we're partnered with 29 other health systems around the country. We're taking the Chartwell brand nationally, so all the things we've been able to do here in Pittsburgh, we're packaging it up with sales and clinical leaders and taking it around the country. We're currently servicing patients in 37 states. And you know, it's always nice because there's always about 20% of the people who know who we are, and we know that those folks had a challenge, because if they came to us, they had a problem they were facing, and it's always rewarding to hear that it goes well. So on that, I think my time is up, but I appreciate you all having us, and I think this is a great forum to discuss what's going on in business today. So thank you.
Good morning, everyone. Martin Kimmel here. Thank you for being here today. Thanks to the mayor and to Abby for that great interview. Just by way of introduction, I founded a firm 30 years ago in Philadelphia, and we've been working 12 years in Western PA, and we are so bullish on Pittsburgh that last June we opened physically in Pittsburgh. We have hired local leadership to man that. It's been very exciting for us, and we also committed to being downtown. And I think it says a lot about Pittsburgh for us to feel so good about it. If the mayor was still here, we found that parking is a problem. When we're recruiting young talent and we want them to come work downtown with us, they want to come, but there's not enough housing to walk to work. There's nowhere to park the car. They're at that price point where it's a burden for them. It becomes a burden for us. So if we could find a path to make that a little easier, I think it'd be easier and easier for people to make that same kind of commitment that we did. So very happy to be here. So we have a great panel discussion today. And I think we can all agree that the Pittsburgh workforce and industry is evolving at a happily rapid pace. You know, juggernauts in education and healthcare, but getting stronger and stronger in construction, technology, and other areas. Talent shortages, I think, abound as young folks decide to go or not go to college. we get challenges there. The export of people moving from any area in the Northeast, but particularly Western Pennsylvania. As a lifelong Steeler fan, we travel so well as a fan base, but one of the reasons it's so strong across the country is that so many people have left Pennsylvania, in this part of Pennsylvania in particular. It's kind of job ready. Feel good? Not a lot of hands. So by extension, how many of you feel that it's a major concern and threat that we are not developing that? About 3 times as many hands. Okay, so we're going to turn it over here to some experts. So for the whole panel, across all sectors, what skills are becoming most critical today, and how are your organizations adapting to ensure employer readiness? We'll start with Guy.
Thanks, Martin. The mayor hit on some of it, and for starters, they do need some credit for some recent things they've done. I know their very first initiative was to open up some prior roadblocks that had prevented development in the downtown corridor and other areas. So it's made it a fertile ground for developers and contractors and construction companies to get a lot more done. So they deserve credit for that. As far as the workforce itself, I share the concerns of the second group, I guess, that outnumbered the first. We have a situation where, particularly in the trades, the generation that, without exaggeration, I guess, built the city, have aged out, and the numbers coming to replace them are insufficient, not as highly skilled, and not as engaged in going towards those trades. I can only speak to the time period when I was high school age. I know that all administrators, adults, whatever, sort of held out college as really the only option. And I'm a huge advocate for higher education and think it's fantastic for the people that it fits, but there is a segment that it does not fit and that don't have interest in it and actively want to be engaged in the trades. For those folks, I think we need to put a lot of effort into guiding them into those areas and giving them support and training and things like that. We're a week away from starting our collective bargaining negotiation with our labor union, and I know that's at the absolute top of the list as far as recruiting enough talent, getting them trained, and getting them into the field. We face it every day to the point that we've had to start. We can't rely on unions to supply those people to us. We've had to actively, on our own, start recruiting, bringing them in. And for what it's worth, the success rate going that route is a much higher clip. We probably retain 8 to 10 that come in that way, whereas the prior way, only about 2 out of 10. But there are a lot of young people who really want to be involved and are excited about it. They just need a little bit of guidance. And I think there are ways to support them, not only through recruiting, but also actively engaging with organizations, trade institutes, people that need businesses as partners to commit. If you put these resources in, we're going to give these people a chance and collaborate on it.
Excellent. Well, certainly from the construction side of what we do and our construction partners and our institutional clients, the need for skilled people is never more present. And I think the opportunity to have great careers where you create something physical has become more appealing. So thanks for sharing that. Christina, Roche is focused on equipping students with AI literacy, which I'll be interested to hear your thoughts on that, and experiential learning opportunities to meet evolving workforce demands. How do you identify which skills are most urgent for your students, and how do you ensure that you're meeting that?
Sure. Well, that's a vital issue. And what we do at Roche, where we have always, well, I don't want to say always, but for a long time, have integrated work-based experiential learning into all of our curricula. So we're a leader in that and have been. So what we do is we find out what employers need, and we do that in a couple of ways. First, we constantly check NACE competencies to see how they've changed. We look at industry reports, so we examine both Pittsburgh and national trends. Then we talk to experts in industry, such as our Board of Trustees. We have a new AI, innovation, and future workforce task force, and so we ask our board members, what skills are your companies and your industries needing right now? What are you looking for when you hire entry-level employees? And we have our partners in businesses and governmental entities and community partners that in which students do that experiential work-based learning, and we ask them what skills they're looking for. And then they tell us. So, for example, we have a fantastic criminal justice program. And recently, supervisors from Allegheny County DA's office, police departments such as Pittsburgh, Mount Lebanon, Allegheny County, the FBI, Booz Allen Consulting, they came to our faculty and said, look, we're looking for particular hard technical skills like Excel, like computer hardware familiarity, like crime mapping, and computer crime mapping. Those are what we want right now. And so our faculty went and looked at our curriculum, and they made advanced Excel, computer hardware, and computer crime required courses. They had been just elective classes that students could choose to take. So that sort of immediate response when we hear the things that are needed, we embed that into our curriculum, and then we check with employers. We also have a program called the SOLVE program, the SOLVE Center, in which employers bring projects to us, and our students work on them. They make presentations. The employer then picks which solution that they want to use for that project. And all the projects end with a post-project survey to assess student performance, student learning, and the impact for that employer. So we have that assessment loop that we use for every project. And this is that assessment loop, the scanning what industry needs, changing our curriculum, and then seeing how those skills are working out, how our students are using those skills in their work-based experiential learning. That ensures us that we are meeting the skills needs for our partners here in Pittsburgh.
Thank you so much. It's a delight to hear that La Roche is asking those questions of employers. How many folks here are employers? A lot. How many of you feel like when you hire someone straight out of school, they're like ready to go versus needing 1, 2, 3 years of training to be productive? Oh boy, no one's raised. No, not one hand came up there. So there's the rub.
You need to partner with La Roche.
Yeah, I wish architecture schools would ask us what we need, because we're even reluctant to hire straight out of school because we lose 2 years minimum of productivity before they're ready to go, because the schools focus too much on design and not enough about all the other 180 things that we do. Okay, so let's pivot. So for Sally. So health insurers are increasingly seen as partners in improving workforce health, employee retention, as we all know. How are you innovating to meet the evolving needs of employers and their workforces, and what role does benefits education play in driving better outcomes for health?
Great to see you again. I saw you in Philadelphia a couple weeks ago. So there we go. Good morning, everyone. My name is Sally Stiefreiter. I'm market president with Cigna. I have the benefit of working with employers of all shapes and sizes here in Pittsburgh and across the country. And so being a part of this panel is very important to me for a couple reasons. Number one, Pittsburgh is an amazing city. And seeing it grow, seeing it thrive is something that we all in this room want to accomplish. When we think about education, especially around healthcare, I mean, before we even got into the panel, how many times did we talk about healthcare? Abby talked about her daughter's journey. We talked about infusion therapy and how important that is and how expensive it is. And I think we can all agree that healthcare is complicated, and I've been doing this for 20 years, and I'm confused a lot as well. So education is really important. One thing we want to think about, though, is that the workforce has changed. And I always tell my team, I'm like, 20 years ago when I started, I used to wear a suit to the office every day, and they all snore and tell me I'm boring, right? But the reality is that there are different generations in the workforce. There are 5 generations in the workforce today that work very differently and engage with their healthcare very differently. And 56% of the workforce is made up of millennials and Generation Z. And they're highly digitized, and they prefer technology and text message. But something else that's really important about those 2 generations is that they're suffering from the highest levels of stress and anxiety when compared to any other generation. And as savvy as they are digitally, they're not accessing any kind of care. And when they choose to access care, guess where they're going? ChatGPT. And ChatGPT is not where you should be going when you want to get care, especially as it relates to behavioral health. So the question is, like, how do we address this? Behavioral health, stress, anxiety is a major problem. If you're not accessing care, it not only impacts who you are, how you function and work at home, your overall health and well-being, but it's shown to increase costs with healthcare 2 times. And for the employers in the room, you do not want your healthcare costs to continue to go up, right? So what Cigna is doing about that is bringing education into the workplace in a way that's meaningful and aligns with how this generation prefers to learn. So think about it this way. If I have a behavioral health challenge, why am I not getting care? It's probably because I don't know where to go. Somebody tells me it's going to take 3 weeks to get in with them. By the time that happens, I don't want to go anymore. So what Cigna does is we educate as we engage with our customers. So what we have available, and we just launched this year, is if you call Cigna or if you digitally engage with Cigna and you say you want to see a therapist, we will connect you with someone right then immediately. You have a 45-minute therapeutic session with a clinician. That's step 1. Step 2 is after that session, we're going to then get you into your preferred modality of behavioral health care. Maybe it's Headspace where you have guided meditation. Maybe it's MD Live where you can have virtual consultation, or maybe it's in person. And then we have 100% follow-up to make sure that it worked for you. Because it can take on average 12 years for someone to find the right provider, and that's just not acceptable. So very exciting times as the workforce continues to change. This new generation has a major problem as it relates to stress, anxiety, and behavioral health. They're not going because they don't know how to get there, and we need to figure out how to educate and bring them to the resources that are most impactful for them.
Awesome. We were just at Rutgers, and they had puppies.
That works too.
50 puppies, 500 kids showed up. And I was like, gosh, I didn't need puppies, but I think I might have liked having some puppy time. So thank you so much for that. So Prasad, if I pronounced that right, I feel good about that. Business and technology are moving faster than ever. How does Slippery Rock spot the skills employers will need the next 3 to 5 years? I'm also particularly curious if you're looking at any kind of non-traditional academic skills training across all the roles that you guys can help support as a state school.
Thank you, and good morning, everyone. First, I want to acknowledge Guy and Sally for believing in higher education, and that's what we do every single day. I want to start off by saying that at Slippery Rock, I almost feel we have a 3-step process. We start off building a steady stream of employer intelligence, just like how you're mentioning, Christina, through our advisory board members, through our alumni, through our industry partners and community partners such as Pittsburgh North Regional Chamber, who are with me today. So, and during that building process, we develop relationships and start asking questions. Just this week alone, I would have met a few advisory board members and alumni. We had more than 20 employers engaging with us on campus. And yesterday we had many leaders representing in our Women in Business event. So looking at all the information, I just want to take a moment and thank all of you. The information that you provide is firsthand. They would allow us to think about shifting expectations that are happening in the workforce. And then the second step is that we translate the knowledge that you provide about the changes happening in the workforce, and we translate that into curriculum, co-curriculum, and faculty development. Not too long ago, I was having a conversation with my fellow Dean Chris Karshin sitting here, and she was having interactions with many executives in healthcare system. And she mentioned that one of the things that in the healthcare system, they see that as a challenge is intergenerational communication. And what did we do next is provide professional development opportunities for our faculty so that they are able to integrate into the curriculum, which will help our students to be ready in the workforce. Then what we also do that, the step number 3 is we ensure that our students are day one ready. To your question, Martin, we want our students to be day one ready, and how we do that at Slippery Rock University is through applied learning. We focus a lot on applied learning. And what does that mean? I'll give a couple of examples. We talk about real problems, real clients, real deadlines, and real equipment. I have a colleague from safety management here, and I want to mention we have a very prestigious safety management program at Slippery Rock. And one of the things that happen with our program is that our industry partners, they not only advise our students or mentor our students, they invest in our labs, they invest in equipment. Now, our students are very familiar with the lab equipment that they are already using. So by the time they start their journey, they are ready to go. I can think of another example. One of our business classes, they partnered with a regional software company called Maps Technologies. And they're awesome in organizing data and sorting data, so on and so forth, but they didn't have functional capabilities, especially when it comes to sophisticated business and analytics. So what did our students do? They worked with several nonprofit clients, mental health organizations, food pantry, a youth hockey league, to provide those advanced analytics through data modeling and visualization. Again, our students are working those presentation skills in a consulting style format, and they are prepared to enter the workforce. Very recently, I attended an award ceremony where our student group was recognized for an award-winning marketing campaign. They worked in conjunction with Gatesman and Center for Organ Recovery and Education. So there are a lot of examples how we are preparing our students into the workforce. Finally, I want to say that we are investing forward. Thanks to the transformational largest gift that the Slippery Rock University has received in the recent time, that named the Haverlack College of Business, we are launching initiatives related to getting our students more career ready, and as well as artificial intelligence integration. So I want to tell one thing to all the audience here, that at Slippery Rock, we are not just preparing students with content, we are building adaptable professionals. And that is very important. We have to engage employers. One term that I've been using a lot recently is that we have to co-design. As employers, industry partners, chambers, we all have to co-design to ensure that we have the talent pipeline. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you. All right, so we're going to do 2 more questions, and we're going to do short answers so we stay on schedule here. But for everybody, collaboration between educators and employers is a key to addressing skills shortages. Which models have you found most effective, and what lessons can Pittsburgh take from these experiences? Recognizing that when I did my poll from the employer side, no one felt good. So Guy, let's go back to you, because I think your recent interview, you talked about how the unions were struggling to get people interested. You talked earlier about how you've done that. Are you working with educational institutions as part of that, or is everything more internal?
Well, a lot of it has been internal, but we have had contact with some educational institutions. As an example, there's one called Belmont College that offers a specific program that specializes in historic restoration, which has a tremendous overlap with what we do. And we have verbalized to them that we would basically, create a segment of our business that would readily welcome them in an internship capacity with room for growth. Every example that has come from that has worked out tremendously for us, and we're very excited about it. We are certainly, though, very open to exploring more of those with more institutions, and actively are seeking that.
Thank you. That's a helpful answer. Christina, you alluded to some of these things already, so I'm interested to see how you can elaborate.
Yes, well, I think that the path forward is really these types of intentional and standardized partnerships. I think not just with higher ed, but in K-12, speaking to helping students get experience with vocational, tech skills, as well as alternate paths as AI is transforming the world of work across most industries. So we have found that co-designing projects with partners is the way to ensure that our partners get skills and our students develop those skills. And we do this through our Solve Center, as I mentioned, and it is a regular process that we follow, so we're not constantly recreating the wheel. We also have informal but deeper partnerships, such as with our neighbor, UPMC Passivant, for creating deeper pipelines for them to have employees. So they regularly provide our students with shadowing, with clinical experiences, and they also invest with individual students if the students will commit to working there after they successfully complete programs such as radiologic technology. They give financial support to our students because accessibility is a big problem now, especially with the federal government pulling back student loans. La Roche's students are largely lower and middle class students, and their families cannot fund higher ed on their own. If we do not step in and help our students access higher education, then the skills gap is going to get even worse. So I think that I'll give you a brief example from where I've seen such partnerships work, not just here with our Solve Center and other partnerships at La Roche, but 10 years ago, I was an administrator, a dean at a higher ed institution in the Washington, D.C. area. And if you remember then, Amazon was coming into that area to build its HQ too. And they were looking for skills that were cutting edge. There were no majors in the things that they were creating at that time, and they needed to staff up in a very big way for their new headquarters. So they invited all higher ed institutions in the area, including ones that were moving into the area, like Virginia Tech. I was one of the people who went to that gathering, and they said to us, look, we need these cutting edge skills. You don't have them because they don't yet, have majors. So what we would like you to do, we want to partner with you in these standardized regular ways. We will teach your faculty these skills, providing them development. Then we will give you modules to embed in existing classes to teach those skills to your students, and then we will hire your students. We will give them internships, and we will hire your students. That was a perfect example of the type of partnerships that we need to create, because if it's just a happenstance, individual, unorganized partnerships, we're not going to meet this moment because of the demographics. There are just fewer students who are college age. The demographics have changed, so you want employees, then you need to really partner with K-12 and higher ed to create these systems to get the skills that you need. We want to work with you. We're willing to work with you. We would love to have your financial help in developing these types of labs or whatever to host and teach these skills. But we can't continue to do what we've done. So the Amazon example is a great example of what Pittsburgh needs to do to really thrive in the coming years with the rapid rate of technological change.
So you brought up the word internship, which I think is a great question, and we have certainly found that students who have worked while they were being educated are much more ready to roll. So since we have Sally and Prasad on the employer side, I mean, as you recruit students, are you looking for people that have served internships? Do you offer them? Are you trying to create them on the educational side? I'll let you go first with whatever else you want to answer that question.
Sure, no problem. I believe in that if they build it, they will come. These kids are graduating from college. They have no clue what they want to do. I mean, who wants to get into health insurance, right, out of college? So, I mean, I did. But I would say building programs like internships or developmental programs are critical, and Cigna has had some huge success with that in getting really strong, talented, smart kids into Cigna, but also how we develop them and how long they stay with us. So we've got a couple key programs that I'm really proud of. One is an actuarial development program. We recruit from Robert Morris for that program, bring students into our organization here in Pittsburgh. We do highly intensive training, we do mentoring, we develop them, but more importantly, they create a community with each other. So a bunch of really cool, right out of college, young kids all liking each other, working with Cigna and learning. And then we put them through rotational programs where they get to learn more about our company and figure out, what do I want to be when I grow up? Maybe not an actuary. So it's been wildly successful. For my team, I've done it with sales development programs where I get these amazing students out of college and I put them into markets that they didn't think they were going to be in, like Cleveland. No offense, Cleveland, I love you, but like kids aren't running to Cleveland all the time. And so I brought some fabulous talent into Cleveland where that is where they're setting their roots. So developmental programs are really important. It helps them to grow, to be heard, to have the mentoring, learn about the organization, and build that community that keeps them long term. I mean, our CEO, David Cordani, came into Cigna over 30 years ago into the financial development program, and he's done pretty well. So I think you build it, they come, give them the community and the support, and that's how you can build some of those roots.
I work for a higher educational institution, and for us, internships mean quite a bit, whether it's internships or co-ops or project-based learning. And the culture that we have instituted at Slippery Rock is that we groom our students in a way that they have those experiences very productively. And over a period of time, how it has evolved is that last fall we had a career expo in one of our programs. And within 3 hours, we were sold out with more than 80 plus employers for that program. So having realized the success of one of our programs, now we are expanding our efforts into additional programs. And when we talk with employers about what can we do better in terms of improving the quality of services that we provide so that more and more students can get internships, one of the things they talk about is a professional set of capabilities that they are looking for when it comes to internships. Particularly, they are looking for problem-solving abilities of the students, self-starters, right? If you have an ambiguous situation, how do you convert that into where you are able to ask questions and take the problem forward and work on it, rather than not asking any questions? The second thing they talk about is professional communication. It's not writing is important, but there is a strong desire for how can you make a presentation so that you can convince the employers, you can convince the leadership team and the clients. And the third one, AI, but more broadly speaking, technology skills. But what they're really looking for is evaluation more than the prompting or more than the productivity. They are looking for evaluation, whether the graduates have the capability to evaluate the trade-offs, the risks, the ethics part of it, and not just taking the information that is being given by various models. So there is a larger responsibility on us as educators to ensure that we are providing those experiences to our students.
So the holy grail and unicorn is the self-starter, and hopefully we can train more self-starters and not just hope for ones that are born. So this is the lightning round. Final question, so 2-sentence max because we're at our time here. Looking ahead 5 years, what decisions or investments made today will most influence whether Pittsburgh and the region successfully strengthens its workforce and maintains a competitive edge in an innovation-driven society?
From my perspective, it was sort of what I alluded to in the beginning. I know the mayor's first initiative was to open some doors that had previously been blocked to extensive development in the downtown corridor that had been hamstrung, for lack of a better word, for the past 5 to 10 years. Now you have developers and businesses and the community in general trying to get involved and make Pittsburgh something as a destination.
Housing first.
My opinion is listen to this next generation. I think we all have opinions on what's going to make this city vibrant and what's going to attract people to it. Start asking questions. Kids that are in college, coming out of college, what do they want? Where do they want to live? What matters to them? Because it could be anything from the arts, it could be anything from transportation and housing, but don't make the assumption that what they want is what we wanted. Listen and then prioritize based on that, because this is the next generation of Pittsburgh.
2 sentences, I would say alignment and access. When it comes to alignment, what is really important is that the educators, the chambers, I see my friend Jordan Grady there, and as well as industry partners, we all have to come together and find that common language of defining what do you mean by career ready so that we all can work together. And when it comes to access, I think we are looking for, as an institution, we are looking for paid internships, co-ops, again, project-based learning, real problems into the classroom that will help us partner, and then you will know exactly whom you are hiring based on those experiences. That's what I would say.
Yes, I agree with everything that's been said, and I'll just repeat. I think we need intentional, strategic, and intensive partnerships that are standardized across K-12, higher ed, and all the various industries in Pittsburgh. If we don't start doing that now, it's just going to be piecemeal, and it's not going to be sufficient to meet the needs.
Well, excellent. Thank you, everyone, for your time and attention. Thank you to this wonderful panel. Nice job.